Hello everyone, welcome back. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe on this YouTube video. It helps massively to support the channel and to everything I do, as well as checking out the Patreon pledge channel of awesome, so you can get some of these videos earlier than others that may be watching this. So this went up on Patreon 2 days early and will be coming to you 2 days after that earliness. Wow. I'm not going to re-record this. Okay, I've done the intro a couple of times now. I'm done. I'm not doing it again. Scrapper build. Why am I playing Scrapper? Reason: single solo support was not working. Don't play it in solo queue ever. It is just the worst. Unless you're in the higher echelons maybe, or if you're even the lower, but like gold, silver, playing support is an absolute nightmare. And I learned that by losing many games. I should have known better, and I apparently didn't. But yeah, no, it was pretty terrible. So I actually am doing a lot better on this Scrapper build, which is still pretty supportive actually, and is kind of the meta, or was shifted down on meta battle, from meta to just great, and on Gods of PvP this is an alternative build, because Hollowsmith isn't that great right now. Got a couple of nerfs here and there, and there's just some better classes to play right now as well. There's Weavers, there's a lot of Revs, there's Dragon Hunters, there's loads of horrible stuff, Necros as well. But this demo Scrapper that was on God's PvP as well, this is pretty similar to that. It's almost actually almost exactly the same, other than they've got Elixir U rather than Elixir R. Compared to meta battle, and there's big differences. There's still a few differences in my build to both of these as well, just a couple of traits here and there which I do change up, and I've been fairly successful with, so if you go to those websites you can see their versions, and there's my version as well. I've been playing engineer for a long time, and this is again something that works for me, so you know, see how well it works for you. Then maybe you don't like having the elixir there, that's absolutely fine as well, but there's reasons why some of these things are here. So go and do the things, remember, like, comment, subscribe, massively helps, appreciate it, cheers, lovely. Let's go through the build. Engineer, explosive, alchemy, and also scrapper as well. Did I show you how many games I won? Lost 1 out of 10 in the last 10 games. I am kind of plat 1, but I haven't played this last week much because I was doing the PvE stuff. And so I've dropped a bit there, so I've just got to get that placing back, and then I'm in plat 1 just there, which is normally where I will sit between gold 3 and plat 1 if I'm doing well, and this season I'm doing a lot better than I have in previous, but yeah, let's go through the build. Explosives, this is just the normal traits now. It's all about barrier and blinding, so as per usual. Explosive entrance, your first attack when entering combat explodes, dealing damage to nearby foes, and this ability refreshes after a dodge roll. So don't forget, that's part of this whole synergy in the explosives line. You gain fury when you hit foe with an explosion. Explosions come from your mortar kits. They also come from explosive entrance because it is an explosion. Okay, it says it right there. So dodging, having the ability to so as you can see there, your first attack when entering combat explodes, dealing damage to nearby foes. So this ability refreshes after a dodge roll. So being able to get your energy back is pretty important. Okay, so this is where your build comes in, obviously, and having a bit of energy on your hammer when you swap weapons and whatnot is pretty important. So having a kit to swap to and fro is important to have as well. So you need a kit, which is why obviously it's not the sole reason we've got mortar kit there and elixir gun, but there's other reasons as well. But let's go through the rest of it. Explosions cause vulnerability, so when you're dodging, you're doing explosions. When you are putting out mortar kit damage, you're inflicting vulnerability as well, don't forget. An explosive entrance grants a barrier. Gain vitality based on a percentage of your power as well. And in this build you have a powerful amulet, which is going to be your Demolisher's Amulet, so 1000, and that's going to contribute to your health, which is why we've got 16,000, sorry, 122 health right now as well. But yeah, that helps. That barrier is very, very helpful. If you play, you can see, I think my barrier reaches, you know, pretty much like 13-14k sometimes in terms of my health. It covers it in terms of, you know, giving me that extra kind of health bar, I guess we can call it. In a way, it's not exactly that, but you know, it's pretty nice to have. Really, really good for your defense, especially things like, you know, power damage and whatnot, versus into a few necros, power builds and everything else, and that's been a bit of a pain recently, Dragon Under specifically as well. There is a few issues with this build, which I'll also go through when we're talking about this, but shaped charge to deal more damage for each stack of vulnerability on your target. Obviously that kind of, you know, vulnerability here, vulnerability from explosions, la la la, all works. An explosive entrance inflicts blindness when it hits. Additionally, it dazes foes above the health threshold. Okay, that's pretty good. What's the cooldown? None. So you get a daze of a second. Okay, it's blindness and daze when they're above 90% health. So if you're gonna get jumped on by someone, dodge. You know, and because I swear, like, this build, if you can get a lot of energy up, like, it's pretty fun, because, you know, if you randomly dodge, you're actually not, and you're amongst enemies, you're actually not doing the worst thing in the world. And sometimes I can maybe randomly dodge, and a lot of people do it, you know. Even the pros, even the top guys in this game who play this, dodge randomly just because it looks good. Okay, they do. They will tell you probably. Anyway, so this is a good general line. You know, you want to be dodging a lot, you want to have your energy, and this is one of the main reasons why elixir R is a thing, because elixir R refills your endurance bar and removes immobilizing effects, which is good things versus things like, I don't know, a druid, for example, or a guardian. So that is one reason that's there. Also, elixir R with function gyro res, elixir R toss, sorry, with the scrapper function gyro res is really quick and is a really good double resing utility for you to pop out, which acts as a support, which gives me a little bit of kind of the support feel which I wanted from a build. And Scrapper I honestly enjoy a lot more than Hollowsmith. Hollowsmith is very flashy and looks wicked, don't get me wrong, but it's very boring to play. I personally find it very boring to play. I find Scrapper a little bit more, even though it's got bots and stuff that walk around with you, I feel a little bit more like it's like challenged when I'm playing it. Like Hollowsmith feels quite spammy, and you know, 1-1-1-1-1 free gets, you know, get the barrier, you know, get the crit and everything else, you know, just CC 1-1-1-1-1, you know, bounce back into grenade. It's just like, I don't know, it's just all damage. It just feels boring. It's just my personal opinion. Anyway, and I don't like playing it in PvE either. It looks good, you know, it does look good. The effects are awesome, and that's why I do enjoy it about it when I play it. So I do play it free so often. Anyway, Alchemy, this is the same line as we go through all the time, and basically it's HGH, okay? Gain, reduce, recharge, and increase durations, and grant might, of course. And this, don't forget, happens through some of your elixirs as well that come out in, of course, your build, okay? So, you know, super elixir as well as the healing mist are both elixirs, so they count as elixirs in this HGH build. So do not forget about that. None of the other abilities, because they're not actually elixirs. Well, sorry, acid bomb is. Acid bomb and also super elixir. Acid bomb does a lot of damage in one spot, and is also a blast in combination with different water fields and whatnot, and other fields you can get some condition removal in light fields, as well as some area of effect heals as well. You can see in regenerating mist, it is a combo field of water. Do not forget about that. So when you don't have things like you know, healing turret up, you've got that. And also as well, when you go into your mortar kit, you do have a water field from this elixir shell, which is good. So blasts again are very important in this build. Another reason why I like having the elixir gun, another reason why I like also using rocket charge, because don't forget, you are going to be able to get the combo finisher leap through water fields as well, and you want to be using that where you can to just buff yourself up. And obviously the leap will help as well in other fields, because you can give yourself other auras which will mitigate damage, and such and so forth. Okay? Maybe I should make a video on combo fields on Scrapper and Engineer and different ones. We could do that in the future. You never know. Expansion's coming out. Not sure this is the year to do it. We may do. I've done videos on other kits and stuff before. Could be worth doing. Anyway, gain protection when you're disabled. That's, you know, 33% negative damage onto you, obviously. Lesser elixir C, so drink a lesser elixir C when you reach a threshold of conditions affecting you, so 2 or more. Elixir E to gain barrier, so you're going to be able to gain more barrier within this build and through obviously blast shield as well. It's every 80 seconds. It's pretty big cooldown, but Engineer's got a lot of survivability anyway. Heal yourself when you grant yourself a boon, which you do a lot through, you know, elixir gun. Don't forget as well, elixir gun does give you swiftness as well. So what you might be thinking in this build as well is that you've not got Traveler Rune as an example, and Traveler Rune or any other rune that's going to give you speed. Now your swiftness comes from, of course, can come from, of course, Thunderclap, which gives you a lightning field which you can blast, and you can blast it either with your heal or you can blast it with the elixir gun, of course, and anything else that you've got in your build, which I am not using right here. I was using it with flamethrower before, but obviously I don't have a flamethrower, so now I use it with elixir gun the most. I hit that C button, which, you know, about faces me, and I go to, so I'm going still in the direction I want to go, and I will blast forward and I will turn around and keep going, and I'll have swiftness. Don't forget, when you want to move from one place to another and you've got a downstate enemy, use Glob Shot and you will get 3 1/4 seconds off swiftness. There's other people there as well, you know, you're going to be able to get more swiftness. But trying to get these boons off every so often and working through your rotation where you know you're going to be able to pop boons off, do damage, gain, you know, fury, might, and boons elsewhere as well. Don't forget you've got defense field, which gives you stability. You want to be using that more for down states if you want to, you know, secure a kill, or res, or even if there's just a lich, or there's a long range guardian, or a long range druid, or ranger, or soul beast, or whatever. That's very, very useful as well. Stun break, healing mist, don't forget. I use this willy-nilly sometimes when I'm panicking, because I know they haven't got like a stun or anything else, but it's a big cooldown, so you do want to save that as much as possible, because it's only going to give you regen, and it does give you a long regen time of 12 seconds or so there as well. And yeah, really, like when you're in 2v2s and they don't have someone with a res mechanic, Function Gyro really resets the cooldowns of your ally and like brings you back, gives you a lot of power. If the matchup is awful, that's not going to matter anyway, but at least gives you the opportunity to get out and, you know, survive that fight and potentially rotate elsewhere with your buddy. Also, people just sometimes don't downstate in ranked solo enduro play, so, you know, sometimes it's good. Come out the gate, see your mate right on the other side of the map, boom, gyro from a range, you come in, res them up as well. Combination with that toss elixir as well is beautiful. Anyway, I'm going to continue. Sorry about that. And then I went over HGH as well. So I did that was kind of a transition. It was okay, I believe. Anyway, Scrapper. You get access to the Scrapper, the Function Gyro, which replaces your toolbox skill 5, which is not going to give us that orbital strike, obviously, from Mortar Kit, which is not the end of the world. And instead it's going to give us the res, which is better anyway. Half a second daze because of the traits as well. So disabling a foe grants you barrier, so don't forget, you know, you're going to be able to get barrier as well. And the daze comes from here, that's right, yeah, sorry. Disabling a foe grants you barrier. Your Function Gyro dazes foes when cast. Awesome. Barrier is nice. Using healing skill grants super speed and a radius around you. Using healing skills associated tool belt skill grants you personal super speed. Okay. Which is what I just choose just then. It's actually 7 seconds of super speed. So don't forget that this is something which you use to get around the map should you need to get around quickly as well. From one place to another. You've got no access to speed, you've got no lining fields, you've got nobody around you to use Glob Shot, you've got no buffs or anything else, you can use that, and by the time you get in there you're probably going to have it back anyway. Try and combine it with a heal, a blast or some kind of leap as well if you're lower on HP, so you can, you know, get that HP running a little bit higher in between caps or whatever, or fights. Stunning or dazing a foe applies vulnerability and weakness to them. Of course, you know, that's pretty good. Like you can put your gyro out. This is why sometimes I use my gyro just to do that, to put weakness and 5 stacks of vulnerability out. Otherwise, you know, it's going to be probably thunderclap and different stuff like that coming out. You haven't really got a lot of disables or stuns and whatnot, so you want to be using them in conjunction with your abilities to do maximum damage or to save your ass, basically. Impact Savant, so a percentage of your strike damage you deal is converted into barrier. Vitality is reduced, minus 180. That's because I think that got nerfed a while ago, so far as I remember, because the barrier can be pretty good, to be honest. Basically, and this is where this is interchangeable. So Connect stabilizes, so mostly it's this at the moment. So Connect stabilizes, gains stability and super speed when you're disabling an enemy. Outgoing stun and daze durations are increased, and this synergizes in this build very well. Now the reason I don't go for this specifically is because really I don't think it's worth it. I don't feel like it's worth it, and because we don't have many ways of disabling and foes. It is including stun, daze, knockback, pull, knockdown, sink, float, launch, taunt, and fear. If it was blind, sure, but because it's not, I don't feel like it's the most beneficial thing in the world for me personally, and I would rather have the general survivability of barriers. You receive a stronger and reducing incoming condition damage while you have barrier. The reason that is because we have bugger all condition removal other than really healing turret and elixir gun to assist with that as well, and that is because of having things like super elixir, putting that down, blasting it and whatnot. There's very little condition removal in this build, which is hence why I use adaptive armor. And obviously, you know, you can heal yourself and, you know, get some boons and whatnot from Mortal Kit, which is going to help negate your damage as well. But, you know, and don't forget, yeah, Flash Shell is a light field as well. So blasting that is going to remove some conditions as well. So don't forget that. We still have a limited amount of blasts and charge and leaps and everything else. So that's a lot to remove conditions, and remembering to do that as a general player is difficult. Higher echelons, again, not as difficult. But adaptive armor overall gives you a lot of condition mitigation, I'm gonna say. Other abilities that was worth talking about: Bulwark Gyro, of course. Deploy a Bulwark Gyro grants you barrier and redirect damage from you to nearby allies. Damage to you from nearby allies, sorry, which helps sustain your team. The barrier soaks up some of that damage as well. And don't forget, you know, the combo line of field as well is pretty nice. So, you know, being able to use that, get some swiftness off that is pretty good. Elixir gun, we've been through this, you know, weakness on the first skill. I spam this a lot when targets are out of range or I'm trying to finish them off, because with weakness coming in, if someone else is coming past me, they can finish them off quite quickly if they've got swiftness or whatever, or they've got a port or it's a thief. I spam that weakness. Bleeding is a nice little addition, but it's not really that massive. But yeah, that's pretty good. And obviously don't forget, there is the cripple on here as well, on glove shot, which is pretty nice. And it's a shame that cripple or anything else isn't in there. That would be so good. And also don't forget, a fumigate not only gives a lot of poison on enemies, but also is 5 stacks of vulnerability, which is pretty important, especially for downstating. Downstates, if you put that fumigate on there, cleave damage is going to be more powerful. They're not going to be able to heal or res as much. They're going to get wrecked. Well, and you're also putting poison and vulnerability on your enemies as well, who are trying to get that res. If you're trying to secure it. Acid bomb is great damage, especially if you use it and then switch out, because you can actually, rather than, you know, jumping all the way back, you can just use it very quickly, switch out, and you'll be doing on the spot damage, power damage as well. And it's a blast, don't forget about that. We've talked about everything else. You know, you get the mites obviously from these as well. If you're confused about what an elixir is, with HGH, what you could do is you can go from this, and you can see the might's not there anymore. If you go to HGH, you can see the might is now on super elixir, might is now on acid bomb. Not there, not there, not there. It's there. Wait, sorry, not there, there. Wow, sorry, it was blue. It's there because it's an elixir, and I'm gonna shut up now. But it's also, oh good lord, it's also there, and it's not anywhere else along here as well. So this is, again, don't forget, this is elixir shell. Okay, so this is one of the elixirs. So this does actually reduce the cooldown of quite a lot of things. It's not just the pots here, which are those typical utility things, it's the little ones as well. So don't forget, obviously, toss elixir, our cooldown is going to be reduced, and it is 72 seconds. But if you think about how many roses you can get inside a game, in, you know, what is it, about 12 to 13 minutes on average games are, probably a little bit longer at the moment because the meta isn't so bursty. It still is, but you know, there's a lot more weavers and tempests and some scrappers in there and other classes which are a little bit tankier right now. So you know, those games are a little bit longer, so you're going to get a lot of more bang for your bucks. Again, about 7 or 8 of those out probably a game if you're using them consistently. So yeah, boom, that's the build. A little bit longer than I wanted it to be. Also, don't forget, abilities are important on your hammer as well. Shock shield is really fantastic at blocking damage, but guess what else it does? You gain barrier of each enemy you hit, and it gives 10 vulnerability stacks for 5 seconds, so that's also very good. Electro well, very very good at well, reflecting missiles, because so many people still hit me. Or if you know, if it's a ranger, a lot of rangers are using that longbow at the moment, they hit that too, or that barrage of arrows which come towards you. You hit that electro well, they're going to take a lot of damage. Same with thieves. Pistol thieves don't like me at all, although there's lots of conditions, but a lot of that damage gets back. Anything with projectiles, you know, electro well, save it. You know, lich form, you know, that's going to be something that pops up, save that as well. Save your defense field as well for big projectile damage that you know you want to block, or you know you want to reflect back onto your enemies. It's good. Okay, thunderclap as well, don't forget. Ionize an area, bring down the power of lightning to stun foes and damage them over its duration. Not only just is it stun, but it is some nice damage. Good point cleanser of enemies, I would say. A big tell, you put your hammer up in the air as well, obviously, so just be wary of that. And really, that's it. Of course, days comes in with function gyro and everything else that we were talking about earlier to get those cheeky little daisies off, obviously, and give yourself a little bit of extra awesomeness in the game, which is what I'm going to call it because it's getting late in the night. It's a fun build. Okay, healing turret's still in there as well. You could try gyro if you want, but yeah, healing turret is still just awesome. It's got a blast as well. It's just great. Healing turret's always been great. This gives you a combo field, but it doesn't give you the blast, and the blast is pretty important in all honesty for how much you're probably going to be using it. Otherwise, this is Scrapper. Welcome back. It's not meta right now. In December, it was part of some of the monthly tournament wins in EU. I think there was double Scrapper. It's not in there at the moment. The meta is still very much open on that end of things. Thing is, February is normally a big balance patch as well, so expect me to be changing this build, or even just bringing another engineer build next month. Flamethrower NG is still very viable and fun. It won't get you past gold probably, but unless you know you're an epic player who's just been playing it for so long that they just know how to decap and is just solid on that build. This is a solid build that's gonna be able to get you like past gold 3 up into plat, and then it's just your own skill really, and just being better than me, which isn't that difficult, but I'm still okay. Even though I'm close to 40, I'm still doing all right. Okay, I'm still raging, as you can probably see in the gameplay videos, but you know, otherwise it's all good. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. I would appreciate if you drop a comment if you are playing this build, or what engineer build are you playing right now yourself. I want to know. let's get some talking going on. What kind of engineer builds do you want to see? Okay, I know that you like to watch engineer builds over anything else, or engineer gameplay. Do you want to see PvE gameplay? Do you want to see raids? Do you want to see fractals? What do you want to see coming out from Jebro on the engineer? Okay, I know that's what you want. That's where the views are. So let's just suck it up and do it. Okay, I actually do love playing engineer, you know that. I've been Jebro. Don't forget to do all the things. Check out the Patreon for a couple of early days of access. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, stay safe, be good, and I hope you're well. I'm not too bad myself. Thanks for asking. Bye-bye, people. I will never click that chest. Alright, I will. It's the daily. Bye.